Hey everybody, welcome to this class on reorganizing. And so again, this theme might be a little bit like, how does that relate to yoga, or how does it relate to our yoga practices off of the mat? And the way I want to, or the way that I'm thinking about this is not organize, but rather reorganize. And in that term, kind of shake things up, be exploratory, be creative. If you are in the series, last week you worked with the tools at hand. So we're obviously going to incorporate our own strength, our structure. At the same time, we can make a little bit more of a blank slate when you're reorganizing, when you're planning, when you're deciding how to move forward. It is important to use what you have and also bring something else in. So this class won't have any kind of traditional vinyasas, but you'll see a lot of familiar poses. The other component of this practice is that there's going to be a lot of options. So almost everything, we're going to start with kind of the groundwork, what most people can do regardless of whether they modify or not. And then there's going to be additional options there. So if you kind of tap on to those next options and it just doesn't work in your body, it's not feeling good today, then that's your cue just to go right back to stage one. And maybe you'll be able to go all the way along with me, maybe not. And that might change day to day. So I hope we all have fun. I'm excited about this practice because I like it when it's a little different. We're going to go ahead and start on hands and knees. If you're someone who likes some padding underneath your knees, a folded blanket would be helpful underneath your knees. I don't generally need that, but I always want to make sure you know that's an option for you. So come on into hands and knees. We do always want to set up and build our foundation, even when we're being exploratory. So check in with your hands. They should be right underneath your shoulders, and for most people that's wider than you think. Knees directly underneath your hips with a long line between your knees and your hands. Again, sometimes we step in a little closer than we think. Push down through the inner lines of your hands. Lengthen through the back body. So kind of this natural draping like a hammock. We instead want to pull up and push through the back body a little bit, activating your strength, activating your body. And we'll go into some cow-cat. Inhale, dropping belly, lifting tailbone and crown of head. Exhale, hollow out belly, push into hands and knees. Inhale, open up, really pull heart forward while pushing knees down. Exhale, round and push. Inhale, open up. Exhale. And right away, I'm already kind of doing it without thinking, start to move in a way that feels good in your body, so that exploratory movement. And as long as you continue to inhale and exhale, doesn't matter what movement you put to it. So keep going here. It might be more kind of seeing how your body feels today. It might be more releasing of energy, stuck energy from your day. There's lots of ways to approach this. Maybe a little bit of a circle, like a log roll of your trunk. If you do that, try to switch up directions. We'll take about 3 more breaths here, everyone. Good, and then come into stillness with a neutral spine. So we're going to continue on hands and knees for a little while here. And so that is a cue for you if you need to kind of come off your hands and move them around, or again, grab that blanket for your knees. Do that now. And then right away, step your right leg back, toes point down, long leg. So you're going to inhale right where you are, belly in. Exhale, lift your right heel about as high as your hip, toes point down the whole way. It's an inhale to tap and an exhale to lift. So these are dedicated, straightforward movements, and we'll do just a couple as we'll continue on with a flow. One more. Good. And then I kind of positioned myself the wrong way for the second thing. You're going to stay in hands and knees just as you are, but I want you, with your right toes back, you're going to draw a line to the side. And then a line back, a line to the side, and a line back. A couple of those. And then line out, right in line with your right hip. And this is where you may already be ready to back up and maybe go back to those toe taps behind you. I'm going to come up onto fingertips. That feels better for me, but you could come up onto blocks as well. You're going to keep your left knee pushing down and lift this right foot. Exhale to lift. So if that gives pinching in your outer hip, you could try the angle of the foot, or you could just go right knee like this. So we'll do 2 more of those. Good. Now, with your right foot still out to the side, go ahead and bring your right foot forward, outside of your right hand, and then sink into your hips and pull it back. You can pull those right toes off the mat. Sink in and back. A couple of these. One more. And then right leg all the way behind. So we're going to go right in. We're going to keep with the right side, and we're going to just continue on. So next stage of this, right leg behind, possibly lift your left arm up. Lift, down, exhale, inhale. Good. Now, again, right foot over to the right. We'll skip the half moons. And now you're going to lift your left hand out and open and your right foot out. Again, the option for the modification could be skip altogether, or it could be with the right knee bent. It could also be just left arm. Right knee stays down. Or everything together, lift, down, lift, down. Let's do 3 more. If you did a couple more than 5, you can either stick with it or rest. Good. Now come back through to center and step your right foot outside of your right hand. Next stage is going to be coming up into a one-armed lunge and back down, straight right leg. Up and down, up and down. A couple more. And then bend the right knee, step it back, hands and knees. If you want to take a cow-cat to kind of move energy, do so. One more iteration here, and this time it's going to be in a row, in order. So what I mean by that is right leg back. Take an inhale. Exhale, lift. Inhale down, right foot to the side. Exhale, lift. Inhale down. Exhale, foot forward. Inhale, open into your lunge. Exhale, sweep it all the way back. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Keep going. Like a clock. But not a clock that's really determining anything, just the ability to sort yourself out. One more. Good. And then the next time you step back, go into downward dog. We'll be switching sides. I want you to both pedal out your legs and give that left knee a break, which of course it will now be off the mat, but just to set up well for the second side. Coming down. Check in with your foundation. Extend left leg behind you. Keep it simple at first. Toes down, inhale. Exhale, lift. Just check in. You're turning your toes down. Inhale down, exhale, lift. Now we draw that horseshoe to the left and back, left and back. Now to the left. Again, it works for me to come up on the fingertips, get just a little more leverage for the leg. Other option is to bend the knee. Other option is to skip completely. Good, and bring it up forward. We're going to keep that left foot outside of the left hand. Sink in, peel back. In, back. Last one. One more. Come forward, send it back, realign. And this one we're going to invite the right arm with you. So, left leg back. This is your inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good, and then skip the horseshoe, come up through center. Option 1, open knee, right arm. Option 2, no knee, right arm. Option 3, arm and leg. Good, and then move your foot forward. Foot is still outside of left hand, and then inhale into that lunge. Exhale, come down and sweep it back. Inhale, lunge. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good, go ahead, reset, maybe a couple cow cats before we go to this final iteration. which includes all the movements together. And really, I want you to, because I wasn't doing a very good job of cueing the breath, I just want you to breathe in and out in a way that makes the most sense for you. So belly in, left leg behind, right hand forward, inhale. Exhale, lift. Inhale, return. Exhale at the sides. Inhale to set up. Come on up into your lunge. Exhale, bring it down, swing it back. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale. Inhale, center. Exhale. Inhale, forward. Exhale, and just keep going through this cycle. Last time. And send it to downward facing dog. So we have been in kind of a familiar yet pretty exploratory space up until now. So I just want you to take a moment to just see how your body feels. Do you need to wiggle it around? Do you need to take a rest? Where are you at? Walk your hands and your feet. We're going to come through to a forward fold at the middle of your mat. And we're going to stay facing kind of the camera or facing the long edge of your mat in a way that feels good. We'll stay on that one side. And then heel toe your feet out. So with your toes out, heels in, start to just simply bend a knee. And then the other knee. So open, open. So we're going to start like this. Once again, feeling it out, seeing where you're at. And then we're going to take it into something more that already, right away, kind of may send you back to this movement. So when you come over to your left foot, plant your right hand and reach your left arm up. And then right away, you're going to come over to the other side and do that here. So if that already is like, well, I wasn't ready for that right away, stay at the other version. And I would say the twist should be the exhale. The inhale is the travel. So again, this could be really good. Just enough. Or the next time you're over by that left foot, pause for a second. You can flatten your right hand, come onto the outer edge of your right foot and reach your left hand behind. So now this gets pretty kind of deep in the hips. You can pause for a breath or two, and then inhale, transition other way. Come down, outer edge of left foot, left hand planted, right arm reaches behind. And your toes, the universal rule is that your toes always point the direction of that knee. So in a movement like this, of course the hips are kind of steering the ship as to whether this works for your body or not. But then the next thing, if it does work for your body, the next thing you need to know is, are my toes kind of directing the knee to where they need to go in a safe way? So let's do this a couple more times. And just a reminder, you can always back up to where you were. I'm going to go and pause. You can keep going if you'd like. Right hand plants, left toes turn out, right outer edge of foot here. Option to stay like this, or lift your hips and kind of come into this modified side plank. Stay like this, or come into a full side plank. Stay like this, or push your left toes down, bend your knees, lift your hips for wild thing. Bring your hands down, step that left foot forward, and slow transition over. So even though we've been flowing, when you're setting something big up, you still got to set it up. So use your tools. Left hand down, outer edge of left foot, right toes turn out. So you're kind of sinking in. This is where we had started. And then you lift your hips up. This is the modified side plank. Full side plank, right leg stacks on top. Ball of right foot, bend the knees to kind of put the axis into your hips, lift your heart. Wild thing. Good, and then bring it back down. And let's just pause in a downward dog or even a child's pose. I think an important part of reorganizing is taking breaks and knowing that it is not a linear line, which of course is why we're doing this type of practice today. But sometimes I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be organized now, have it all figured out now. And then unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. We have to put puzzle pieces in, move them around, shake them up, and then take them out, and then keep going. Take one more deep breath. Good. Come into downward dog just long enough. And then once again, we're going to come to that wide-legged fold facing the long edge of the mat that feels best for your practice area for where you are. So we're going to continue on, but bringing it off the mat. So I want you to turn your right toes towards the front of the mat and bend your knee. At the same time, kick your left heel back a little bit. So this is like a warrior one kind of stance, or a little bit of a warrior two. Bring your left hand forward and just kind of lift your heart up. So we're going to be at the ground for just a couple of these movements. And then transition your feet. So feet transition first to protect knees. Right hand reaches forward, lift your heart up. Let's do that 2 or 3 more times each side. Keep that back foot grounded though if you can. Maybe a little lift there in the center. Good, and then go ahead and start coming up on that right side. We're going to come into a revolved warrior. So open heart, you can stay for a breath just as you feel it. Right knees bent, right hands behind towards your left thigh, left arm open, and then maybe kind of sweep through center. Transition feet first. Bend left knee open. Keep going like this. And continue. So even though now that we're in a little bit of a familiar, pretty structured pose, warrior one variation, See what you can do to make it exploratory. And that doesn't necessarily mean the transition, it means in the pose. What can you do to lift up the heart a little more? What can you do to ground the feet a little bit more? Continue. The next time you're over there at the right foot, come off your left heel and make it a true high lunge. We're going to stay in the high lunge, so you find a place for your feet. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist if appropriate. Inhale, up. Exhale, twist. So we're just starting with the arms, but even some pregnancy folks, that might be a little much more than your body needs right now. And then if you want to make it a little bit deeper, you can start to kind of twist in. Open. Exhale. Open. So maybe this flow just feels good. There's no need to pause. Maybe the next time you do want to pause and see what happens when you pause. Lift right shoulder, lengthen crown of head. Bend right knee. Inhale out. Exhale. Just take a moment in the center. That rebound, if you will. And then set up for second side. Left toes forward, right heel lifted. As this segment of the flow is going to be grounded through the legs so you're really safe. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, exhale. If this is plenty on the twist, it just feels good. Or make it a little bit more kind of twisting in and out. Maybe keep this flow going or pause. And really make sure your foundation's set. Once you're there, breathe inwards and expand outwards. Keep that left knee bent. Lengthen through crown of head, lift left shoulder. Come out. Any way you want to stand at center. We have one more small sequence left. So we're going to do just one side, the 3 options, and then we'll go to the other. So stand on your left foot, bring your right knee up, give it a squeeze. This is option 1. Of course, if you're making room, you're going to bring it over to the right. Otherwise, just pull it in. I always like to soften my standing leg. On the exhale, drop the right toes behind your left. Big stretch. You can take the left hand to the right wrist and kind of emphasize that. Come back through to center. Bring your knee up first and then open it and possibly foot inside of left thigh. So you're in tree pose. Push the left leg into the right foot. Oh, and of course, you can always do this down here instead. So find your tree pose and lift up. And again, we'll pause for about 3 breaths. So this class has brought us from the ground up. We're going to end standing. Kind of a different perspective. So even though we are still very active here, start to let your mind soften and settle. That grounding energy. On an exhale, step right leg behind, grab right wrist, big side stretch. Come through, stand again. Last one, right knee up and open, option for tree, or peace fingers, grab right big toe, extend. Utthita Hastapadasana. Lift your heart. So even in a super active, super challenging pose, can you let your mind soften? Bring it in, bring it back, side stretch. Good, and then bring it forward and just take a moment, maybe pad into your 2 feet. Second side, right foot down. Bring your left knee up, straight up, or again, out to the left if you are modifying. Making room for yourself. Soft right knee. On an exhale, left foot behind. Grab your left wrist, side bend. Back through center, pushing into right foot. And again, take your time to get balanced. Bring the left knee up and open. Foot into inner right thigh or calf. Tree pose. Let your mind soften. And then step back. Good. Come back through center. We've got our last one. Left knee up, open. Tree pose or hand to big toe. See if you can balance the intensity of the challenge. Bring some of that quiet energy in. One more breath. Soften, behind, stretch. Good, and then come back through center. Wide stance. So of course, if you want to sit down, sit down. This would be a great time to do some seated stretches or head straight to Shavasana. I'm going to end the class right here. Lifting through heart, lifting through crown of head, letting the energy kind of drain out of the body. Leaving room for exploration, creativity, organizing a new path. Thanks so much for being here. Take a really good care of yourself. Give yourself a rest if you need it. See you soon.